All right, so we got another episode of Crankly Speaking with Simon Kessler and Daryl Impey. Daryl is in Girona, just finished with the classics, Liege Bastogne Liege yesterday. Got in at 3 in the morning, little tired, he tells me. You're already preparing for the Giro. And Daryl, we want to hear a little bit about, I know you were in the team car for both Fleche, Wallonne and Liege Bastogne Liege. Let's talk about Fleche for starters. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a new start, different roads. Actually, probably the best roads we've seen in Fleche Wallonne leading into the circuit. Yeah, again, a miserable day, miserable start. The guys didn't get rain until 40k into the race, but it was like 5-6 degrees already, and then with additional rain, a lot of guys were already scored from last year. So I don't know if you remember last year, it was only about 20 guys finished. I think this year, I think maybe 60 or so finished, but very, very tough conditions again. It wasn't as cold and as raining and all that, but yeah, freezing conditions. Some guys worked well in the rain. Some guys prepared a little bit better for the cold, but yeah, ultimately it was still same guy won, right? Didn't affect him at all. Just saw Tadej just sitting in his saddle, training day there in the last climb, forcing his team. Remco rode Quickstep rode a pretty. They kind of handed it to UAE a little bit, kind of gave them on a silver platter. Destroyed their own team, and then UAE had 4 or 5 guys still coming into like the second last climb of the day, the Côte de Chirav, and they just basically throttled the race and whittled it down to 15, 16 guys, and that's all that went to the line. And they just drilled it. Nobody could do anything about it. And yeah, they, like I said, didn't have any competition. Again, Vacalin was really good, same as last year, second place. Pitcock even said, like, there's nothing you can do, just kind of, I think this is kind of what's going to be happening. Well, what's happened throughout the whole Ardennes is today goes, everybody says, I can go with or I can't, or you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Straight away, guys start thinking about riding for second place. The minute you follow him, it seems like no one's immune. Get blown off the wheel, and then your race is done. So, yeah, he's kind of got that. He's kind of winning easy now because he's just got into everyone's head.
You can see that for sure. Like people don't even seem to react, when he goes, because he's just like such a step above. But the fact is, you weren't there, Daryl, because I hear in the recon, like a few days before, you almost broke the record up, La Redoute. Tell us a little bit about how you did that.
So yeah, I caused a bit of a stir. A lot of riders were actually asking about my record attempt up La Redoute, and it's always on the Friday or the Thursday
Well,
before.
Was it La Redoute or Muir de Huy? Sorry if
No, La Redoute was for
La Redoute.
Liège.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we were doing recon. This is after Fleche Wallonne. We were doing recon, and normally do the last 90k of Liege Bastogne Liege, and we started the Côte d'Ivoire. We did all the climbs, but I just wanted to get out. I wanted to get out, do a ride with the boys, and when I got to La Redoute, I thought I'm gonna just empty it, just lay it all out and see what I can do from bottom to top. I had been sitting the boys all day, so I felt pretty fresh. But yeah, I went bottom to top, did 404. So that was I thought when I got to the car, I'll have the record, gave it all. The other part, which I'm not telling you about, is I did it on an e-bike. So I thought I'll do it on an e-bike. The speed I was going up, I was absolutely certain, like, I don't need to go any faster than this to get the record. Like, I feel like I was just riding a motorbike. I was coming past other professional athletes who were even going up there at the same time, and they were like, holy smokes. And then, of course, some people were like, whoa, and they saw that I was riding an e-bike. But I got to the top, and after the ride, I said to all the boys in the team, I said, I'm going to cause a bit of a stir today. Someone's going to get knocked off that pedestal up La Redoute. Of course, I'll get flagged, but it'll be just satisfying to see that the little bit of the chat that goes with it, And so I left it, and then I got a message from Remco to say, "How did you do that?" like probably about 3 or 4 hours after. How did you do that, Tom? Then I went to the managers' meeting, and I had Tom Southern from EF come to me and go, "Geez, you're still going good, eh?" Like, all the boys at the table want to know, like, that there's this couple of boys calling bullshit, and there's a couple of boys saying, like, gee, he must still be like going well. Like if he can do that, he should be racing, you know. But yeah, then I had to just admit it to him and say, no, it was an e-bike. But I said the truth is that I actually wanted to prove that I can't even beat Tadej Pogacar on an e-bike, and not even with 200k in my legs. And I had the e-bike on full boost mode. Like, okay, it weighs a little bit more than a normal bike, but I went 40 seconds faster than my best time racing up La Redoute. So when
And
I
today
raced
went,
there,
and he went
and
faster than you in the race.
sorry,
And today he beat you on an e-bike in the race.
yeah. So today, when they finished the race, today's time up there was 3:58. Mine was with the e-bike was 4:04, and when I raced Amstel professionally, I was only going. My best time was 4:43. So the e-bike, I was 40 seconds quicker for myself, but like today, it still smashed me by like 6 seconds.
That
It just shows you the speed that these guys are going. It's unbelievable when you ride an e-bike and you do it up there at that speed, and you still can't beat his time. You like no one will ever be able to ride up this section this fast. It's impossible. And then you
mind
finish the
blowing.
race, and you know, I wonder if somebody flagged me. I would love to know which guy flagged me, but I got flagged now just before
They'll
discussing it with you
they'll
guys.
they'll give you a bit.
Guys
They're a
are
bit
petty,
bitter,
eh?
man. Well,
Just
they're bitter. Eh? They don't want to see Daryl Impey on an e-bike in the top. What would you have been? Second, third, fourth,
I
maybe
was
top five?
second or third, but now I'm not there anymore. It's just like
That's too bad, eh?
there
But
was probably a couple guys who raced on the weekend thought, actually, I did a good time, and then they were like, "What? Daryl beat me? No way! I'm going to flag that ride." So they push into the top 10. You know, maybe someone who was 11th, maybe.
the point is, I mean, Liege Bastogne Liege, the La Redoute is the the hardest climb of the race, and that just like paints a picture of how strong today really is, because it's not always obvious on the TV. You know, when you watch it, you can't really see necessarily how fast he's going. But the fact is, you're going like full gas on a road e-bike, right? Not a
Yeah,
like a
roadie
heavy
bike.
a road e-bike, like full power, flying up there, and you're still a few seconds slower than today. And he said he attacked not at full gas just to test everyone, and then he hit it over the top because he saw he had a gap. So he in his interview he said he wasn't even going all out, and you could see that because if he had because he managed to then get the gap also on the descents and the flat after that. If he had been on the limit, it would have been harder to create that gap because it wasn't very big at the top. So it's just mind blowing to think how good he is physically, you know, and that just paints a picture of that, you know, because I mean, what can you say, right? It's
Yeah,
like
well, it's
no,
more mind blowing to see how poor I've got on a bicycle since I've stopped riding.
well, at least you can compare it to the
Had I been
e-bike.
at full fitness and done that, you wouldn't have beaten me. But
Yeah, 30
the
seconds back. Eh?
But yeah, 10 kilos extra in weight plus a probably 10 kilo extra bike. Yeah, odds were against me. But yeah, no, I actually just wanted to see if it was physically possible to actually beat him even on an e-bike. And for me, it wasn't. For sure, there'll be someone else that's fitter than me able to do that. But the point I'm trying to highlight is like that the speed you go up there. Just take note when you do it on an e-bike. If anyone's listening and they go and do it, just think of that speed you're going up there. It's ridiculous.
That's not.
No wonder when he goes, everybody just says, "Oh, cheers, see you later, man. You're gonna win. If you punch her, maybe we'll catch you." But this really was nothing guys could do. I mean, our team, we had a fantastic day. We had three guys in that front group at the end. We were trying to pull it back. Healy and Ciccone rode this really strong race. We got together over the top, 12k to go. Schulte was riding flat out with the Jayco guys. We knew it was going to be a tough ask to try catch Healy and Ciccone with 20 seconds and mostly downhill, but it's a podium in a monument, right? So we're not going to just. I mean, at the end of the day, in hindsight, thinking about points in the situation with points with teams and relegation, it probably would have been a different story if we were in that relegation zone where we probably would have gone, okay, three of you just sprint, you know, because there are big points at the end. Our plan didn't come to fruition there at the end. It was a shame Joe got caught on the fence with Michael Matthews, didn't get a chance to even open up his sprint. Lutsenko was trying to help him, and Schultz had been riding. So out of that group of 40, we had 30th, 40th, and 43rd. So Yeah, shame. I felt sorry for the guys because they rode such a good race, and just to get a little bit boxed in this finish and a few mistakes. Yeah, we walked away
Yeah.
empty-handed. But if I look at the campaign for our team, Joe Blackmore, what a rider! First time he's ever done these races, and he's riding there with the big guns. That gives us a lot of excitement, and also to see that a lot of our guys bounce back, like Lutsenko and Schultze, and even Clarkey was really good. So going
Yeah.
forward next year, it'll be, we know what we're working with, so it'll be exciting.
Takes time. Yeah, it takes time to develop these guys. What is it like for a team or a world in the world tour to get to finish on the podium in a race like a monument? Would that be considered more of an achievement than winning a smaller level race? Because when with the viewers, often they watch and they only focus on the winner. They don't really focus on the podium. But like if you're on that podium, if you're Ben Healy or Ciccone, is that podium mean a lot more to you than maybe a much lower level victory? Or what
Well,
are your
look,
thoughts?
these are the monuments. You only got 5 monuments in the year. This is the second last one. The next one after you is Lombardia. So, any result at these level of these races, that's why you see the guys committing to the end. It's a huge thing to finish on the podium. It's huge for a team. It's one of our team goals. It's definitely something we're focusing on. I mean, to be on the podium at a monument is special. So, to answer your question, it's better than a small race. It's better than going to win. If you ask me, I might get crucified for it, but say if you're going to win, I don't know, Saint Sebastian, which is a very good World Tour race. It's also a very big race, one-day race, or you finish second at Liège, I'd say you'd probably still be happier to have second at Liège. Some people might not say that, but the monuments, when you think about the monuments, Paris-Roubaix, Milan-San Remo, Tour of Flanders, Liege Bastogne Liege, and Lombardia, big races. So it's and when you've only got 5 races like that a year, and that's go for it, right? It's special. I mean, I remember and there's always like a bigger speech for these races. Even the speech I give to the guys in the bus, it's like, we're sitting there in Liège and it's like a sunny day, and I'm standing in the bus and I'm thinking, gee, I had the debrief, like I had the race presentation the night before with the guys, the tactics, what we're going to do, just because we have a lot of time together. Normally we do it in the morning on the bus, but I gave them all the stats and all the things we need to look out for, and the crunch points and our focus points. But then in the morning, I didn't give any of that. It was more like, hey man, like we were sitting in Liège. It was 18 degrees and sunny, and I was like, I haven't done a Liège like this ever in my career, where it's been like this. I was like, you guys, today's the day. You're never going to have a day like this. It's Jacob's last monument. Clarkey's last monument. A few guys are retiring at the end of the year. So I was like, man, these are the days you live for, right? You're only on the start line for these things 5 times a year, and most of you don't do the other classics. So this might be your only monument you ever do. Maybe next year you're not here. So you give those speeches because and I told him, like, I miss it. Like, I miss coming to big races like this and like getting ready for the big days, 260. It's like just going to be a long day, achievement just to finish the race. So that's the difference with the monuments, is it's like even achievement just to finish.
Yeah, that makes sense. Really, like, seize the moment. It's like a once in a lifetime, opportunity to as a cyclist. If you say, down the road when you retired one day, I rode Liège or I rode Paris-Roubaix, there's like such a small number of cyclists who can actually say that, and that's for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah, like I think I've done Liège like 11 times, but you never get tired of it. You never get tired of going to the start and finishing there. It used to finish in Ounce, up a little drag, but now it finishes on the flat. But these days they're such big races, and they've such importance, and it can change your career. We were lucky. I was part of Liège when Simon Gerrans won, when he beat Valverde in the sprint. So we were 15 minutes behind. We were like on Côte de Saint Nicolas, or like around there. We heard, hey, vinto Gerrans. I remember hearing that from one of the Italians. It's like an Italian part of Liège, and I was like, what? Simon won. He was getting dropped off La Redoute. So it was like, what? We were shocked, you know. But yeah, special days, man. Special
Yeah.
day.
So like to look at to go back onto the race Fleche Wallonne and Puck Peter, so we saw her win there, and then in Liège in the women's race we saw a fellow African from Mauritius. Mauritius being, as South Africans, we've always talk about Mauritius. The rest of the world probably don't really know much about Mauritius, but it's a small little island off the African coast, considered part of the African continent. South Africans go there on vacation. Now a lot of South Africans are actually moving to live there. Once upon a time I raced to Mauritius, but point is, it's a very small little island. And here's a rider, Kim Lacourt from Mauritius, the small little island in the Indian Ocean in Africa, who fought her way back, showed incredible courage, was dropped, fought back, showed that courage of what it takes to win a race, and then outsprinted, Puck and Demi Vollering and the EF rider in the final. And what a win that is, for Africa and for her and for the team, who also sponsored AG Insurance, who I think was one of the main sponsors of Liège. So it's just an incredible day for her.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, when you talk about people who break through, break barriers, Ashley Millman was one of those, one of our South African most talented riders, probably pushed it, that got everyone, like, was able to crack the world tour, for women's cycling. She's obviously raced against Kim back home in South Africa, but yeah, you're seeing him starting to slowly break through, and it's because they're getting the opportunities to do it. There was a little bit of confusion as to if she was world champion or not, because if you notice her jersey, it really looks exactly like the world champion's jersey. And I remember a few guys actually at the airport going like, what jersey was that? She looks like she's the world champion. Very, very close. I'm surprised the UCI actually allowed it. But yeah, huge results. I mean, huge results. There's nobody that's won a monument from the African continent in ladies cycling. That's a first there for sure. And yeah, a huge result. She's had a big season. Don't forget at Tour of Flanders, she was also up there. So clearly
starting like most of the
sign of someone. Sorry, it's clearly a sign of just somebody who's actually starting to figure out racing in Europe after spending a few months there, a few years. It doesn't come easily. If you look at her previous results, it hasn't been anywhere near what she is now. But that just shows you how many years it takes to actually get to that level.
Well, she's 29, so it obviously has taken her. And I think coming from Africa, it takes longer than Europeans. We saw that with you in your own career. I remember when you went first to that French team when you were 18 or 19, you had a bit of a hard time there. You decided to come back to South Africa for a few years, and then you got your opportunity again to go to Europe. It took you quite a few years as well to really establish yourself. And I think that's common if you're not coming from Europe, because it is so much more difficult. What do you say to those young riders who are trying to make it, and realizing that in their first couple of years they're having a really hard time? A lot of them quit when they're 19 or 20, but I feel like they quit too young. Not everybody's Pogacar or Remco who's flying at 18 and 19 years old.
Yeah, the problem with the young guys is they're so used to everything being like their cell phones. Just quickly buy and it gets sent to you, and deliver tomorrow, and I'll get a message straight away, and they want you to reply straight away. And they want the same with form and racing in Europe. They want to get there, get into racing in Europe, and then just go, okay, first two races, I want to do these races, I want to do well, I want to be in the top 10, and someone will notice me, and I'll turn pro. They don't actually think about the full picture. It's not even like that. When you come to Europe, there's so many other elements: stress, opening up bank accounts, trying to figure out the language, trying to figure out how to get to places. Just being away from home. Yeah, at the start it's great, but after a while you're like, oh, it's getting a bit heavy. You don't think you're going to miss anyone, but you do. It's more the education side of it where, I call it like education because it is a little bit of bike rider education. There needs to be a system in place to kind of guide these young guys or young ladies when they come to race in Europe, like to make them understand that it's not going to be as rosy as they think and not as easy as they think, because I feel that's where a lot of guys come unstuck, because they come to Europe, they're expecting things to just evolve as it was back home. They made the steps back home, and then now they're going to Europe because that's the next step, and now they're going to get on a European team, and then they're going pro. So they don't understand that it takes a longer period to just figure yourself out as who you are as a person, because you're also growing at the same time. And when you come to this side of the world, there's no mom and dad holding your hand and, a cushion to fall on. Here, you got to make your own way again. And that's stressful in itself, just looking after yourself when you don't really, some people don't even know how to do that yet. You must remember, these riders that are coming over are so young.
Yeah, and also a lot of them are, the best in their country. They're like used to winning, always finishing on the podium, and then they come to Europe and they're in the third group. And if you're used to winning all the time when you're junior, and then all of a sudden you're in the third group, barely hanging on, a lot of egos can't handle that. They can't adjust to the fact that they're going to have to fight for the next 2-3 years to make it into that front group to contest for the win. And I've seen a lot of young guys who are very talented quit when they're 19 because now they're no longer a winner. Nobody's talking about them. They're far away from home, and they're like, "What's the point? I can't win." But they don't see the big picture, like you said. They don't realize it's going to take. I mean, it took you a good 5 years to maybe break into the European level, or?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd say. I learned a lot my first year in Velo Club Le Pont Marseille. But it took me that whole season really to find just a little bit of light at the end. I came there, I was flying, but I came from South Africa, from altitude, training in good weather, and I was flying in February, and I loved it. But as my form started to decline, and as I started to miss home a bit more, and I got tired of sharing a room with a Polish guy, it just became too much. And then I kind of focused on all the things that were annoying me versus why I was actually there. So yeah, I had a lot of ups and downs. Just figuring myself out, and then I decided I didn't want to do it. Then I came back to South Africa and I started winning everything, and it was great at the start because I was like, "Oh, this is why I ride a bike." Decided I'm going to be the big fish in a small pond, and then it just took Robbie Hunter to win the stage in the tour for me to go like, "Geez, that would be quite cool to do," And I'd beaten him, I think, in one of the local races in South Africa, maybe the year before, or when he was out there training. And I don't know if it was just that little bit of a win, beating him there, thinking, oh, maybe I actually do have something. But it was him, when I messaged him to say, well done, when he said to me, what are you doing in South Africa? Why are you still racing there? Like, you came to Europe, you ran home. He always thought I was soft, right? And maybe I was soft, but I don't think I was soft. I think I just wasn't prepared enough. I don't think I probably needed that anyway to come home and figure out what I really wanted, because I was kind of in that thing of like, oh, I'm kicking ass in South Africa, I'm going to go to France, and then I was doing well at the start, and then I started going downhill, and then I was like, that's exactly what we spoke about, like, oh, I'm not enjoying this anymore, just coming home with my head kicked in. But then, you realize, like, maybe I do have something. And then I came to Europe, and as a pro, it took me the whole season to actually start figuring out how just to ride in the peloton, like how to move in the peloton, not even win, not even think about winning. It was more like just to hold position. That was my whole season, my first year.
Oh.
So
yeah.
You need a team who's patient, and you need a team that needs to understand that, like, if you're from Belgium or you're from Europe and you race in these kinds of conditions all the time, you're expected to be more like knowing what you're doing. But I feel like all the athletes that come from far away, Australia, South Africa, America, who don't have access to these kinds of races, the pro teams aren't as patient with them, so they kind of just like, I'll get rid of them, like, they're not getting there, or they're not doing their job, or they're quickly. And then you see them go to a pro team the next year and to another team that goes, maybe if we just help him a little bit or guide him in the right way, this guy's a weapon. His numbers are so good. And this guy the next year is just like flourishes. So it's you've got to take time, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think also the ability to ride in the European peloton is, you can't underestimate how difficult that is. When you race in South Africa or in the States, you have wide roads, you only have 30, 40 guys who are competitive, and it's easy to move up, it's easy to get in position. But I remember when I raced the first time junior Tour of Austria with all the national teams, already in the neutral zone there were like 5 massive crashes. I was like shell shocked even before the race even started, and I think that is also a skill in itself. And a lot of riders coming from these countries who are not used to riding in the pack, sometimes that's the main limiter they have to being a good rider. They might have the numbers, but they just can't put themselves in the right position when it counts, before a climb or at the finish.
So, as a coach, what do you think? Do you think you can teach that?
I think partly you can teach that for sure, but I think there are riders who are just better at it than other riders. I think as a young rider, if you live in a country like South Africa or United States, it's good to do other type of cycling, like mountain biking, like cyclocross, like track, to get like a full, and also other sports. When you're younger, I think you should do a lot of sports where you're really in tune with your body, how it moves, martial arts, anything like that. I think if you have that foundation of really good body awareness, I think that takes you quite far in that whole pursuit. And I do think you can develop it. But you do see riders who've been in the peloton for like 15 years, like for example Louis Meintjes, who's super talented, right? I mean, he's been in that peloton for maybe 10 plus years, but yet he's always still at the back, even before a long climb, like, which is, where he's supposed to be in the front. You'll still see him towards the back often, right, in the peloton.
He's a sponsor's dream. He's a sponsor's dream.
What, for the back, the motorbikes at the back?
Yeah. When they show the back of the race, it's always Louis. But no, that's harsh. But I mean, he's such a good rider. You just kind of want to shake him sometimes, because you just know, like, if you just put yourself there, you'd have a much better chance of winning. But it's his style, right? He doesn't like the hustle and bustle, and he doesn't like the fighting, and he's got the ability to ride across to people on the climbs. And even though he's behind, he just has that ability. But yeah, he pays for it, right? He definitely. So he's probably worked out in his head, saying, if I have to fight for every corner throughout the day, how much energy is that versus me just copping a little bit of flack at the back, not fighting with anyone all day, maybe starting behind the climb 20, 30 seconds by the time they've all dropped and I've got some open raid. What's my energy expenditure versus sprinting and fighting against people bigger than me all day? He's probably worked that out, and that's why he does it. But for people that don't have that ability, like for a rider like me, say, for example, I can't understand that, because I'm like, why would you put yourself on the back foot before the critical moment? But yeah, I guess for him, he's not doing all the fighting that I'm doing all day. But I only have one choice, to fight for the front. Otherwise, I'm getting dropped even early up the climb. So, different styles.
You got to understand yourself. Naturally, some people are more assertive, more aggressive than others. He seems to not be a very aggressive person, just personality-wise. So for him to try and fight the whole time probably goes a lot against his nature, and probably would be even more tiring for him, because he probably understands who he is as a person very well, and knows, okay, I'm okay with not that fighting piece, because it's not me, it's not my personality. Where you'll find other riders who actually love the fight. They love to get stuck in, they love to be bumping shoulders. We're all wired a little differently. So I think also a good piece is to really understand yourself, and I think that comes with age. Know your limitations, know what you're good at, and just do what works for you as a person. In the end, it might not be what works for somebody else, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think we should crack on with the Giro discussion now, Simon. Because
but before we do, let's just briefly discuss. There was an article this week on Tom Dumoulin, who was saying how maybe his career could have been longer, but he felt like towards the end of his career, he was so regimented, where he was told what he has to train, what he has to eat, what a number of calories he has to log, and everything was just so regimented, and he felt like that's not going to work for every rider. Some riders will thrive on that, being told what to do, being almost like a robot where you don't have to think about anything except follow instructions. But for him, clearly that did not work and led to mental burnout. I wanted to get your opinion on that. Do you think the current generation, do you think it's gone a little bit too far, and it keeps moving even further that direction, where numbers play the primary role, number of calories, number of grams, power numbers, and riders just have to follow all these things and check off all these boxes instead of having free reign to say, I'm just going to go and, go for a ride on field. He gave the example of Mathieu van der Poel. He said Van der Poel, he designs his own schedule. He goes for a week skiing, like right before the classics, like after cyclocross season, goes skiing where you could like ruin his career with one fall, right? But yet he highlighted that example saying, that just shows he has, power and autonomy of his own race schedule. He keeps a good balance. And, obviously that works for him. Same thing with Thibaut Nace. He also went skiing for a week, whereas other riders, maybe not quite as strong as him, are trying to like check every box, not do any skiing, like just do everything right. But in the end, that creates more stress and it actually leads to more, mental burnout. I heard the Alpecin coach, he was saying their philosophy is 80-20. So like 80% focus and 20% like chill, relax. Not 100% all in. He keeps talking about 80-20. 80% focus, full focus, train hard, do everything possible. 20% chill out, relax, have balance. And I think that's clearly working for them. So I know you were very good you had a very long career, and you seemed pretty good at also keeping that balance. What do you think about that?
Okay, so I think I came through the good years of cycling. The doping era, whatever that everyone speaks about, it kind of ended. And I really feel that I got to enjoy one. Everyone was just trying to figure out what new cycling was. As I progressed, we advanced through technologies, and then it became nutrition, became a small thing. It was more about what to eat on the bike, or hydration, or special gels, or this gel's got caffeine in it for the finish, or those are the things. Whereas like today, you've just got so much access to so much info, and like teams have invested in nutritionists, so they've got to do their job. And of course, when they have to do their job, they need to tell riders what to do. So the more people you employ on the team, it's great because you've got all bases covered. But those people also have a job to show you they're doing their job, correct? So it just becomes this flurry of information for everybody, where it's like, wow, and it's all good information. It's just an information overload, though, and then everybody starts just focusing on all those things, and they forget about the 90%. Whereas it's just you just need to get out and train. So I think it's that part that's hurting everyone, and it's gone too far. Like even the juniors, and I mean juniors are getting rider agents, and it's like recruiting it used to be like recruit guys from the under 23 for a pro team. Now you've got to start going to under 16 level now, because the other teams have started already going to the bigger teams, UAE, Visma, whatever. They're already looking at the junior races. So then if you want to get the riders before those guys, you've got to go to under 16 races. I mean, the parents don't even know how to deal with it. The parents are asking, like, this manager's calling me, he can't even speak English, he's Italian, what must I do? Like, even for parents, it's difficult. I mean, as a parent, I wouldn't say to my son, go with 16, go with this agent. He can't even speak English, but he knows Tom Boonen, or he knows this guy, he used to manage him, or whatever the case is. There's a lot of pressure from everywhere in the whole system. The whole system is like kind of just a pressure pit, and it could be done much better. But as you have to race against teams that have got bigger budgets, they've got access to more resources. All you do as a smaller team is try and catch up, right? And you try to catch up, and then finally you're all doing what the big teams are doing, whatever they're doing nutrition-wise, you're all just following suit. But it just becomes too much.
Maybe a good strategy is not to follow the big teams and just to try bring more of that balance and fun and aspect back into the team, and create that environment. Focus really on the atmosphere of the team. Maybe that's the way forward for a smaller team.
Yeah, I think so. The atmosphere is important, but it's also very. The thing is, you say that, but then the message coming from the riders is also, what are they doing? What tires do they run? Look what they do, and we feel like we don't have what they have. So then, it's So as a team, you also get pressurized, not because it's easy to say stick to your guns and go, I'll focus more on culture, and we're not worried about that stuff. But ultimately, the riders, when they're riding the races and they're losing to these teams, they're looking for the reasons why. And then they start going, but they've got this, but they've got that. So it's very, it's a slippery slope for everybody, because if you think about it, like altitude used to be guys going to the Tour de France. That was like the focus. Okay, you go to altitude to get ready for the Tour. The Giro didn't matter. No one was doing that. But now, as everybody's just preparing at altitude for everything, what do you think is going to happen? They all now have to just stay at altitude, basically. Guys are living at altitude now, basically, just to go, oh, I don't want to be away from home, but I just, it's too stressful to go with the team all the time, but I need to stay at altitude to be good. So they're shooting themselves in the foot, because as one person becomes more into it and more like, okay, I'm going to do more than the others, everyone just catches up, and it just trails, it just all falls down. So I don't know where it will stop. I'm just very glad, and I spoke to Liege Bastogne, actually, who's she's a very accomplished rider, and she's retiring this year too. And I was just talking to her about, are you happy you're retiring? And she was like, I actually am. Like, she's like, imagine being a junior these days. And I was actually like, you're so right. Like, when I was a junior, I was riding around Belgium, getting Belgian chocolates when I came home, because I was like, I didn't get these in South Africa, and I was like, this is cool, Riding in Belgium, wasn't worried about weight, wasn't worried about anything. I went to the Kermis Koers, rode the Kermis Koers. On my way home, I would ride home, stop at the little Aldi, go grab some Belgian chocolates, and then at night watch TV with a slab of chocolate in my hand. That was junior racing, and those were great years. And you would have mates who would do the same with you. And like on a coffee ride, we would have a big slice of cake, and it would be fun. You find me one junior racer that's thinking about winning, doing that now, I swear I'll shake your hand. I'll do more than shake your hand, but I mean,
That's serious, eh? These guys, that's nuts. Yeah.
So I'm so glad. I was hating it the last year of my career, because when they started saying, weigh yourself, put your food on, like, tell me how much you're eating, it's just like, what? I never used to do this. I used to just eat because I was hungry and ate what I needed.
Yeah. I mean, there's benefits to do that, but at the same time, it also creates additional stress. And, stress is stress, no matter if it's coming from coaches telling you to upload your, what you ate in the day, to whatever it is, your wife not happy with you, whatever it can be. It's still stress, right? And it's all adding up. And I think you have to look at that and realize, like, you got to keep, how much stress are you adding to the rider by asking them to check all these boxes every day? For some, maybe that takes stress away. Some people like to be super regimented, and they actually have less stress when they can be very precise with everything. But there's other riders who that creates a lot of additional stress, maybe those who like more freedom. So I think you really have to understand each rider and what works for them and what doesn't, and it's not just one way is the right way for each rider.
No, it's definitely, you can't approach it. And even when we go to training camps or things like that, it's even now in the block between the Ardennes, the riders need different types of training, right? What gets them ready for the next race, and it's super difficult to like manage everybody. But I just think it's gone a little bit far, where riders have stopped thinking for themselves what they want to do. Like, it's the same when you're riding a race and they're like, but you didn't tell me to do that. And you're like, but you're a bike racer, man. Like, I can't see what you see. Like, at some point you got to decide. So, it'll be interesting if they take radios out one day. But I also wouldn't want to be a rider in the peloton listening to radio tour, because you can go with some guys on the radio tour that are just talk all day. It's hard sometimes even to get a message across to my riders, because the radio tour's on and they're just talking the whole time. And I'm just like, I just want to tell my riders to do something. You have to turn it down so that I can say something, but then you might miss something. So it's,
Yeah. So we're going to finish up, but before we do, I know you're busy now preparing for the Giro. You're heading out there. I think it starts, May 7th, May 8th, something like that.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit, what does that look like for you now in these coming days? Like, what do you have to do to prepare as a director for the Giro d'Italia coming up with Israel?
So I'm DS3 for this one, so not the head DS at the race. So a little bit less focus on strategy and terms of prep. Sam Bewley's DS1. And then Pat McCarthy's the second year, so he's going to be, like, we share a few roles about logistics and bottle points, and that, where the DS1 will just focus on PowerPoints and the race strategy. and delivery of the message to the team. And then the three directors get together and we discuss what is our plan for the Giro, the way we see it, and with the riders we're taking. What stages we're going to be targeting, what stages are less important, what stages are we thinking we've got to like minimize the time we're going to lose, or a day where we can gain time. So yeah, there's a few things. Like there's a huge thing about the gravel stage in the Giro. There's lots of emphasis on that. Vital points, wheel points. Obviously there's a lot more at stake. What tires to use, bringing in the performance team, chatting to them. So there's a lot of moving pieces, to be honest. I'm just actually currently today I was just filling all the bottle points in for all the stages. So finding good spots for the people to stand. Can the car get from one point to the other? How far is it? Will they be able to get there in time? Is there a route that they don't cross over? Yeah, there's lots.
No,
Lots
there's a
in
lot
the
of
park.
logistics there. That's crazy.
There's
That's
so
crazy.
much stuff,
Yeah.
and then like Pat will be deciding which cars are going where, and like we're doing it's a ferry to Albania, so then the truck's got to get across with the customs and the bikes and the.
That's a lot. Eh?
It's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. You think you're just going to chill during the week, but there's a lot of stuff always at the same. Like a lot of things happening as a bike rider. You pitch there, you ride your bike. Where's this, where's that. But as staff, you get a much better appreciation of the staff, what they did for you as a rider. But yeah, it's fine. We've got a really great team. We've got a great team that helps us with logistics. So, a lot of experience in that department, but there's still just so much to do. And you want to do it right. We're going there for, aiming for a top 5 with Derek G. He rode really well at Alps. It was a great race, Alps, if you watch Tour of Alps. Lots of attacking, lots of different things. Michael Storer was just unbeatable, but form of his life. But it was great to see Derek get onto the podium with a huge ride. So we got a bit of confidence going there. Marco Frigo won a stage at Alps. He's also coming. So we've got a lot of hope for the Giro, and we're excited about getting there because it's been a long-term project of the team this year. Since December, we've been planning this with Derek. So it's nice that it's finally getting to the boiling point, and we're going to get to Albania, and then the race kicks off.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys are looking really good with Derek G. I was at the Giro a couple of years back when he was like one of the stars there in every breakaway, like riding like a machine. I remember standing on the finish line and his parents were there. We were in the VIP section and I remember him coming there chatting to, I don't know if it was his sister or his girlfriend and his parents, and it was really cool. That was a couple of years back, and that's where he really made a name for himself, I think, was in the Giro, right? And now it's 2 years later now. Yeah,
he was second in like 4 stages, and like every breakaway he did went to the line. Like, geez, nuts.
Yeah, he's got a big engine. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. Remember to either listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. If you're enjoying this, please leave us comments. Please follow us on one of those platforms and share with your friends. We really appreciate it. We're trying to grow the channels, and we'll be back next week with some more race talk. So for now, that's it from me. Anything you want to say, Daryl?
I hope you guys enjoyed the Ardennes review or previews and all the things we spoke about, and look forward to catching up from the Giro.
Sounds good. All right. See you guys. Thanks. Cheers.
Cheers.